He has been one of the most influential figures in modern wrestling history. He was elevated to the top of the WWE roster in record time, becoming one of the most popular champions of the 1990s. He co-founded one of the most famous stables in wrestling history, the NWO. He has branched out into the film industry, starring in the 2005 blockbuster The Longest Yard. He's now a veteran of TNA's roster. He is Kevin Nash. Kevin, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. You just had the Victory Road pay-per-view, which is kind of an anniversary for you since you came on board with TNA at the same event in 2004. What are your thoughts on how the promotion's progressed in the last couple of years?
I think it's going in a positive direction. I think there's been good growth. I think the partnership on Spike TV has been very good for the promotion. And I think a lot of the young talents now, had a couple of years to become a little bit more seasoned. I think the performances are better. So all in all, I think, that we're really going in the right direction.
TNA has, they've created a lot of new young stars, as you were saying, especially in the X division. Are there any that really stand out for you?
Several. I mean, the guys that I worked with last night, Jay Lethal and Saban, I think are both great. I think Alex Shelley's a really good talent. I think PD's a good talent. There's a lot of, the Kazarian came back last night. He's a good talent. So there's at least a half dozen off the top of my head, and probably a lot more than that.
Who in TNA would you say brings out the best in you, physically and creatively?
I mean, I've had, probably a 15-year feud on and off as his ally and as his foe with Sting. Jeff Jarrett, of course, seems to always bring out the best of me. Scott Steiner. But lately, I've really enjoyed working with the X Division guys. They seem to lighting a fire under the old man. So.
You mentioned Sting, and of course, that you'd worked with him a lot over the last 15 years. What's it been like working with him again in TNA? I know you haven't been directly involved in any feuds, but what's it been like having him back in the locker room?
It's great. I mean, it's good to always see an old friend.
Yeah.
We actually had breakfast this morning and went to a couple outlet malls around the Orlando area and just kind of hung out before we came to TV today. So it's nice because, most of these guys I really don't know. He's one of the few guys that I've been friends with for a very long time.
Yeah. Is a shot at the NWA World Heavyweight Championship a concern of yours at this stage in your career?
Because I was off for a while, I wouldn't want to go after it until I was physically, had a little bit more ring time. So right now I'm just kind of content doing what I'm doing. Just kind of working my way back in slowly, but I know that I would like if Samoa Joe was to get the title, I'd like to have a chance because he's undefeated. I'd like to have a chance of trying to beat his, to end his streak.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's about it.
You mentioned that you've had the time off. How are you feeling since the heart scare?
Good. I was lucky that it wasn't anything too severe. It was just something that just can be taken care of with a little bit of medication. So now I'm not even on the medication. So
that's good to hear.
Yeah, old age.
Well, you actually look as if you're in, the best shape of your career. Have you been training and eating differently since then?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I do a lot more cardio work, and I don't have as many of the malted beverages every night that I used to. I've really cut down my beer and wine and stuff like that. So just kind of clean my life up a little bit. Because I got a little 10-year-old boy. I'd like to at least watch him get married, if not more than that. But I'd like to be around for a while.
For sure. You've been through WWE, WCW, now you're in TNA, so you bring a really broad range of experience to the table. Do you have any plans to apply that knowledge in a backstage creative role when you retire from physical action?
Yeah, I don't know how much longer I really want to do this in that physical capacity. But as far as, if just to sit around and I like it. I like the creative system here really seems good because it's several guys pitching ideas together, and I think that's you don't have the pressure of trying to come up with the ideas on your own, and But I'd also like to do just more of an on-camera kind of maybe somebody to go up against Cornette. It's maybe the heel entity.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just kind of playing it by ear. But I'm enjoying myself. It's been nice because I don't have the pressure of being in that main event title chase, which kind of takes the pressure off. So I'm just having fun.
How would you compare the atmosphere and the TNA locker room to other promotions that you've worked for?
I think it's really great. I think that the thing that I see is they were like when I was hanging around a lot of the with Lethal and Alex and Sabian yesterday. We spent most of the day together, just laughing and joking and stuff. It reminds me of when Shawn Michaels, Scott Hall, and Sean Waltman and I just kind of sat around early in our careers and just, there's just a real passion for the business in a lot of the young guys. They haven't been tainted yet. They do it because they're happy to do it. So. Yeah.
Since you bring up Sean, are you still in touch with him and with Hunter?
Oh yeah, I talked to Triple H yesterday.
Yeah.
And he's on the countdown to having his first child.
Yeah. I was just thinking that Stephanie must be ready to pop any day now.
Yeah, she's actually due. I want to think the 23rd is the due date, but I know that it'll be any day. So he's really looking forward to that. I had a good talk with him yesterday, and I talked to Sean about 4 or 5 days earlier. But I usually Paul's hard to get a hold of because he's running constantly.
Yeah.
But Sean, I usually talk to Sean at least once a week.
What are your thoughts on the DX reunion?
I really haven't had a chance to see it because my son doesn't watch wrestling, and we've been down on the islands for the last couple of weeks. I flew back for his pay-per-view, and he just, he doesn't watch it.
Right. It's been hilarious. It's been some of the funniest stuff I've seen.
I saw a couple of the earlier ones, and I thought they were funny. But I think it's to me like that's the real Paul Levesque, or the real Triple H is the guy. I mean that's the Paul that I drove up and down the road with. Yeah. He's got a really dry, good sense of humor, and so does Sean. So, I mean, I think that. I think you have to have a really wide spectrum of things. I think the comedy is one of the things you have to have, and I think that given comedy like they do, I think it's very entertaining for the fans. Oh,
definitely. When they're allowed to let their comedic talent shine, it's pretty special. As a fan, I'm really, loving the DX reunion. I've also just finished Sean's book, and he speaks very highly of you. Have you read it?
I haven't had a chance to read it. No, we spent a lot of time together. He's one guy that no matter what's happened, we've always stayed very close. We've always been best of friends. So.
Yeah, he said that too. Well, you know the old saying, never say never, and you've got your buddies there. Would you ever consider returning to WWE?
That'd be hard. Their schedule is so rigorous. I work 3 times a month here, and I basically drive 70 miles to get here and 70 miles back.
Wow.
I live in Florida. I never have to get on a plane, so I leave my house at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and I can basically come home and give my son a kiss goodnight.
Yeah.
That makes it kind of advantageous for me. I was on the road for so many years and missed so much of my son growing up, and missed so much of my relationship with my wife. Yeah. Because I was gone, back with the WWF, we worked 250 to 300 days a year. And, I've already made those sacrifices. I could do it short term for a couple of months, 3 or 4 or 5 months maybe, but I couldn't do anything long term.
Different set of priorities now.
Yeah, and I'm fine. I'm fine with that. It's just I'm very, very content where I'm at.
You mentioned Scott Hall a minute ago. And that he's difficult to get in touch with, but as far as you know, how's he doing?
Well, if history is anything, the last time I talked to him, he was fine, but when he doesn't return calls, it's usually not a good sign. So I praised him.
You've been branching out into movies over the last few years. What's been your favorite film experience so far?
I would say The Longest Yard, the football film with Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. But The Punisher I had a lot of fun in The Punisher also.
well, you run the risk of being stereotyped into like the big guy role, but the guard Englehart character in The Longest Yard just shattered that stereotype. Did you have much input into the development of that character?
Really, it was very, the one thing with Peter Siegel, the director, he directs, loosely from the script. You do maybe, one or two takes from the script, and then he likes to play with, give me a couple of different feels and a couple of different looks and come up with something. He'll come up with something. Adam will throw something in. So, by the time you get done with it, most of the scenes were pretty much ad-lib scenes.
It must have been a blast getting to shoot a movie like that, especially with old wrestling buddies like Steve Austin and Bill Goldberg.
Absolutely. And it was funny because there were really no women on the set, so it was it's kind of like a fraternity house.
Yeah.
A bunch of crazy jocks. And it was a really good time. It was a good experience.
You mentioned The Punisher before, and I was just thinking, you've taken, lots of bumps and you've bled profusely in the ring, but during the filming of The Punisher, Thomas Jane accidentally, but legitimately, stabbed you with a knife. How'd that happen?
Thank God it was blunted, but they just the weapons guy that was switching out the knives just made a mistake and didn't switch it out. He didn't get the one that had the spring in it that with the blade would retract.
Oh.
So.
Thomas Jane must have felt awful about that. He'd be thinking
really
that it was a retractable knife, and it wasn't.
I don't think that he felt as bad as I think the executive producers did. They looked at me like, oh boy, this guy can own us right now. But I just told them, they said, hey, what do we do? I said, let's put 12-pack of Miller Lite in the makeup. Rather after this is over, we'll call it even. But mistakes happen. I mean, that's probably what happened to Brandon Lee,
Yeah. Thank God it wasn't the same outcome, eh?
Absolutely.
Your latest film, DOA, is based on a video game. Can you tell us about your role in that?
I played Bass Armstrong, which is Tina Armstrong, who is Jamie Presley movie. I play her father.
Yeah.
And basically, the gist of the movie is that we're going to this island to have a winner-takes-all type combat, and I'm basically there to try to talk my daughter out of fighting.
Right.
And it's up that I push her to the point where she decides that the only way this is going to happen is she's going to take me out. She ends up having a battle with her dad on a raft in a Chinese lake, which is...
Wow.
Corey Ewan was the director who shot the first Transporter.
Do you plan on expanding your film career further, and is there anyone that you'd really like to work with in movies?
Working with Happy Manis, I'd love to work with Farrell. I'd love to do comedies.
Yeah.
If I had my druthers, I'd like to do comedies. But there's a couple of projects that are coming up in August. I think I talked to my agent, and he said there's Mortal Kombat 3's being casted. So there's, and the thing with me is it's still hard because they walk into a room, you're still so big that they just go, wow. So it is hard to get roles besides being the big guy, but with all the comic book type roles that are out there now, I have a chance to get those roles. So
yeah, I think you'd be great in comedy. I think that really came out in The Longest Yard.
Yeah, and that's I really like to do that, and hopefully something will happen, come to fruition on that. But
what would you say has been the pinnacle of your career so far?
Of anything I've done?
Yeah.
I would probably say The Longest Yard. I'm probably the proudest of that. I think that when I pass on, that'll be something that'll will continue to be seen.
What will Kevin Nash's legacy be?
I don't know. People that knew me, I'm sure they had a laugh with nothing else.
Yeah. Kevin, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I know you're busy. And all the best for the Impact tapings today.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.